Welcome back to the Breakdown Podcast presented by Flea Flicker Highlights. We are your hosts, Tyler and
I'm Pal.
Jets fans. Today you celebrate while the rest of the AFC East today is saying fuck.
Yeah, seriously. Big day, big day. We finally got some news that we've been waiting to talk about for a while now. But before we get on all that, I'm kind of excited that even though we don't have NFL games going on, we've been able to find content to talk about.
Yes, of course.
Second episode in this week. Second episode covering NFL free agency. What do you like about the offseason the most? Is it free agency? Is it the draft? What is it that you really enjoy?
I just like going to ESPN or literally any social media source after like a long day of class and just seeing all these names just pop up on your phone. Like
At first, it's a bunch of randoms. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes, for me at least,
sometimes like
it's
the
a few
dominoes
randoms.
fall weird, but like as soon as we saw like Derek Carr sign, I think like everybody thought the dominoes would fall after Aaron Rodgers would sign. That
Mhm.
wasn't the case this year.
Yeah, we're
Kinda
still
just
waiting.
Happened like whenever.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, free agency has been really exciting this year. But besides football, how have things been?
It's been good, man. I coming back from spring break, just getting back into the swing of things. It's been a pretty hectic week. I'm kind of like securing like what I'm gonna do for the summer. I'm kind of figuring out my plans for the rest of the semester, and then it's kind of been tough because I'm thinking about graduation now. Like it's like one more fall semester, one more spring semester, and then we're done. So apart from that, man, it's been great. The weather in Columbia hasn't been good. This is like
This week sucks.
like usually that's like the escape from everything. It's like Columbia is like your little tropical paradise, 80 degrees.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know about that, but
no, come on now. I look outside, man. Look at the view we have in our
it is
place.
always sunny in Columbia.
It's always sunny, man. And I don't know. I love seeing the palm trees and stuff on my way to class and all that. But the weather has been kind of shitty, and then just dealing with all the other like, just the school stuff, just the post graduation stuff, just the work stuff. It's nice to kind of have like this little bit of an escape, just talking to you about football.
No, yeah, exactly. I agree. I'm excited just to get back to class, honestly.
It's been good so far.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I've had a lot of teachers cancel class, ironically. I've never had a teacher cancel class until, like, this semester, and I've had 4 different teachers cancel 2 or more classes.
Wow.
This semester, which is kind of nuts.
I am not that lucky when it comes to getting classes canceled, but I did have one canceled today.
Hey.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. And then we also had an exam in that class today, and it got moved back to next Wednesday. So that's
small W's.
Yeah, exactly. But apart from that, man, it's been smooth sailing. Nothing to really complain about. Nothing eventful really going on. But yeah, let's talk about some football.
As most of you already know, Aaron Rodgers announced on the Pat McAfee show that he will be heading to New York to join his good old pals, no pun intended, Randy Cobb, El Lazard, and Uncle Mercedes Lewis.
I cannot believe that Randall Cobb is still lacing him up. Same with Mercedes Lewis.
Bro, I thought it was his last season. With the NFL offseason in full swing, we'll be delving into the free agency frenzy and examining which teams made the most significant moves so far. And finally, we'll be debating whether the AFC East is the best division or the most anticipated division we've seen ever. Like, going into a season, honestly, I think that's up there for debate.
Yeah.
With several, honestly, crazy teams vying for the top spot. So, sit back, relax, and get ready for all this free agency talk.
Yeah, we'll make sure that you guys are up to date on everything going on in this pretty chaotic NFL free agency.
So what are your first reactions to news today and some of last night? A lot of moves, a lot of big names going places.
Since I'm a Eagles fan, let me start in Philly. We talked about Brandon Graham. We talked about Jason Kelce, both of them returning. Pretty big news in the departure side today. Miles Sanders and Darius Slay will probably not be Eagles next year. I was hoping that we would keep Slay. I was fine with letting go of Sanders. His production is it's not consistent. And that was the biggest thing that was missing from his game. I loved having him in Philadelphia. He's a Penn Stater as well.
Yeah.
So
Hometown kid.
yeah, exactly. So I was always rooting for him. And then Darius Slay, he came in and was a real culture, setter, and he was just a great presence. He embodies, Philadelphia in a sense, and players like that always are successful in Philly. And then he also led us to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
I want to key on the Darius Slay release.
Yeah,
I saw a headline today, and it almost scared me. It said, "The NFL world reacts to terrible Eagles news." I thought someone had died or something.
The way they're making it sound?
It was some news source that doesn't cover football well. And then I go down, and I see Darius Slay's released. And I was honestly not surprised that he was going to be released. Like, we talked about this a couple episodes. He his play fell off. He's getting paid a shit ton of money.
Way too much money. The Eagles' biggest issue is cap.
Yeah. So he'll find another place.
A lot of people are throwing Atlanta around. That's what I'm seeing on my Twitter is a lot of Slay to the Falcons talk.
I would not be surprised. They got a lot of money to play with. Also, I feel like the Texans are always going to be a name that will just pretty much sign anybody at this point. They have so much money just to use.
And then I guess one more little Eagles thing is kind of to offset the Slay news on the defensive side of the ball. The Eagles will likely do whatever it takes to re-sign C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah, he's good.
He's a star.
They need to get him back. Yeah.
He's a star, man. And so I'm glad. He's a big hitter, man. I love watching him play. We've been thin at safety. He does, man. He has that dog in him, man. But yeah, man. Something about hard hitting safeties. You always want them on your team whenever possible. So yeah, hopefully we sign him back. But other than that, on the Eagles side, not much else to talk about. Apart from the Eagles, the biggest news, and I won't say the A word. We're gonna hold off on the Aaron Rodgers talk, just because we are gonna take a deeper dive in there. One of the biggest news, for me at least, was Baker to the Bucks.
Yeah, no, I was actually just about to say that. This is interesting because presumably he will be competing with Kyle Trask for the starting QB position.
Right. What do you think of Trask, by the way? We maybe from his Florida days, you have some opinions on him.
I respect his character. I do not have enough tape to make assumption on his skills.
Mm-hmm. You have to remember though, he sat behind Tom for a couple of years now.
That's true. Yeah, I don't disagree with the fact that he can't be a good quarterback. He actually is going into a better situation than most young quarterbacks. He's got a great receiving core. I mean, running back room could use some work. But the Bucks are they won the division last year, so they're not 3-14 team like that. So
definitely worse situations to be a part of. But I'm interested to see how he'll respond because, I mean, Baker looked great in L.A. Baker looked great in Carolina, in my opinion. I didn't think he was really ever the problem in Cleveland either. So
I think that injury is.
Of course, yeah.
I think the Browns are just a shitty organization when it comes to every single department.
That's very true. We haven't heard anything, but I'm actually more excited about what Godwin and Evans think about that pickup more than anyone else because the way Baker plays, it's sometimes you see it where he just sometimes doesn't look at some wide receivers.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that ends up being because
if Baker starts, obviously you'll see a decline in production from
both of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
no
I agree with that. And then one more quarterback move that I wanted to kind of get off the bat is Brissett to the Commanders.
That.
If you listen to the podcast, man, T. Bush was he was seeing something we were not because
the one sign of all these guys.
Hey man, you got to take the ones that you can get, and that was some pretty good insight on your part. But yeah, Brissett to the Commanders. How do you think that works out? Because I always thought that Washington should have gone ahead with Heineke last year. Obviously, he's moved on this year, so
I think Brissett is a better quarterback than Heineke. He's just definitely more experienced and makes better decisions. When it comes to athleticism, I would prefer Heineke.
Mm-hmm.
Brissett might have the better arm. I think Jacoby Brissett's the best backup in the NFL. So
a Geno Smith type story this year.
No, I don't see any increase in production or anything like that.
Washington's offense is so underrated.
I don't know because
Scary Terry.
The Browns, you had great pieces around him too.
I don't know.
An alright defense. You had Chubb, Hunt, Amari Cooper.
Well, he has just as good a two-punch with his running back room this year in Washington.
That's what I'm saying. It's a similar offense. I think the skill levels of both the Browns and Washington players are very similar. So I really could see the Commanders having the same record as what the Browns did this year.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Heineke will start in Atlanta?
No, I think
Desmond Ridder.
Desmond Ridder had a good last 3 games or something.
Yeah,
like
last
that.
3 or 4 games.
Yeah,
he didn't score very much, but it kind of reminded me of Justin Fields.
The team was very run heavy, and your only receiver at that time. I mean, Kyle Pitts had a shitty year, and Drake London is a rookie, so you can't expect too much out of him. But in other free agency news, we had Levante David and Jordan Poyer re-signing with their respective teams, and then Juju Smith-Schuster agreeing to a 3-year, $33 million deal with the Patriots, filling Jacoby Myers' void.
Yeah, so the Patriots are still looking for more wide receivers, is the news. They called about Hopkins. They've called about Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is a name that we've seen thrown around a lot
Jerry
this week.
Jeudy can be a superstar. His route running is impeccable. He's so fast. He just needs to cool his head a little bit. He's got a temper tantrum.
Yeah, but even then, man, he's I think it's kind of dumb that the Broncos are shopping him. Maybe they do just value a first-round pick overall, or a first-round pick that much.
My guess is Jeudy doesn't want to be there.
You think so? You think he's done with Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were upset with Russ after this season.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame him for that. Do you think DeAndre Hopkins is on the move this year?
Yes, I do. I've heard some things that he has a close relationship with Bill Belichick. So, like you said, the Patriots are definitely
a lot of mutual respect. We've seen that clip, man.
We have. I remember the coach of the Cardinals, or I think it was a coach of the Cardinals went up to D-Hop. It's a funny clip. He's like, you're the best in the league.
That's the one I'm talking about.
I know.
Yeah.
When Bill Belichick went up to Hop,
there's another one with Belichick saying the same stuff.
Thank you, I appreciate it, Coach.
Yep.
So
they're
a little different responses.
Yeah. That is an interesting situation, because then that is such wonderful news for Mac Jones and Mac Jones fans, because I thought that last year with the whole should he get benched, this and that, we talked about it on the pod a lot last fall, and I was one of the few people I felt like that was saying that it wasn't really on Mac Jones to make that offense work. There wasn't really a lot of help around him. So yeah, if they go out and get a name like that, whether it's Jerry Jeudy or DeAndre Hopkins, that makes the world of a difference for Mac Jones.
Yep, and some other notable free agents and players that were released. Zeke being one of those players. Cowboys released him earlier today. That makes Tony Pollard the main bell now. Also, Allen Lazard, Hayden Hurst, Andy Dalton, David Montgomery, Jamal Williams, all finding new deals.
Jamal Williams?
He's back with the Lions.
Oh, last I heard is that they were a world apart on negotiations.
Yeah, no, they signed him to a 3-year deal, and then they also signed David Montgomery.
Yeah, I saw the David. Well, then what does that mean for DeAndre Swift, man?
That's what I was about to say.
I paid $55. So I did an auction draft last year in fantasy.
Yeah, he was a high value.
I paid $55 out of the $200 to just get DeAndre Swift. I still made it to the semifinals, dude. Believe it or not, that was so much of my cap. Kelsey and Hurts carried my team, but
there's a weird relationship with the Lions and Swift. They don't like using him as much as they should be. I think he's definitely the better receiving back, no question.
Then David Montgomery, not compared to Williams.
Swift is a better receiving back than Williams too, both of them. Jamal Williams is the ground and pound first down running back.
Interesting. I always thought that Williams was a little bit better out of the backfield, but
the Packers used Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, and they passed the ball to Aaron Jones.
That is very true, yeah. But I think Aaron Jones is just the best. After Eckler, I think he's the best receiving back in the league. But
I agree.
That's a discussion for another take. Yeah, that's a discussion for another day. But
so let's get into the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
There we go. He's the headliner for today, man.
Oh God, we've been literally all ESPN, Fox Sports, fucking Twitter, whatever. Been talking about Aaron Rodgers for months now.
The whole week. This whole week has been dominated by it, definitely for a while. Some interesting takeaways before we start talking about the Jets. The fact that he was more confident on retiring after the Darkness Street, that was something I wanted to kind of bring up.
He went into his hobbit hole of darkness, 90% sure that he was going to retire.
That is
blind.
Wild, man. And so he's going to – so does that mean that he's going to come out in just 1-2 years in New York, or what?
I
Like,
think
what does
will
this
be
mean?
his last year. I've watched so many like not press conferences, but like just interviews with him, and he just keeps talking about this last year. Like I've heard last year, 1 year, like a few times.
Do you really think that though? Do you really believe that? I don't believe that because. I mean, we're going to talk about this when we talk about the Jets, but I don't think that you can make all these changes. And
that's why I think the Jets could be in the wrong here. They're giving up all this stuff.
We
for
alluded
maybe
to
just
this.
1 year.
We alluded to this.
Besides the Allen Lazard
because
deal,
they're having to trade for him. They're having to trade for him. So we don't even know what the actual haul for the Packers is. But
You're
I mean,
right.
and Jordan Love looked great whenever he was playing last year. Like, I don't use that word lightly. Like, he looked like a NFL, like a top 15, top 20 NFL starter as soon as you plugged him into that Packers offense. And then if they get more from that, I mean, Allen Lazard didn't do much last year. Their better wide receiver was
I
Watson.
disagree. Allen Lazard stepped up. I know Christian Watson has a higher ceiling, but
He just had the touchdowns. I just think that, again, I'm an Allen Lazard fan. I just think that
I think that was a good deal for the Jets. They replaced him, Corey Davis with Lazard.
Yeah.
And now you have
Elijah
Garrett
Wilson, man.
Garrett Wilson. Yeah.
That's a scary offense.
Mercedes Lewis.
Yeah, and then as soon as
year,
and then he's Breece Hall coming off that ACL.
and Michael Carter's.
And Michael Carter's going to be there, bro. Yeah, Michael Carter's already going to be there.
Bro. Bam Knight.
Yeah, bro. And then that defense is already pretty locked down, man.
But this all sounds a lot like the Broncos last year. This is exactly what we were talking about.
But I think there's a difference. There's a difference between Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson just from a talent standpoint. Just from a mentality standpoint as well. But I'm just saying, from purely what you're going to get on the field, Aaron Rodgers is just way more consistent.
It'll be so interesting.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers is one of the most talented quarterbacks in NFL history. I feel more likely than not, this will turn out to be Peyton Manning to the Broncos than it will be Russell Wilson to the Broncos. Just because the Jets are a franchise that kind of needs some loving. So here they are, going to provide a second home for a former MVP, for a guy in the twilight of his career, and they're really just going to make a run to win. And so this is very exciting if you're a Jets fan, just talking about all these possibilities.
They're obviously, all going all in. I know Aaron Rodgers is him, but, I feel like ever since that Matt Stafford trade, all these teams think they can just plug in a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know Aaron Rodgers is probably the most talent, next to Patrick Mahomes, the most skilled, talented quarterback.
I agree. From a talent standpoint, he's one of the best all time. Top 5 all time. Just from put the resume aside, just look at the way he puts that ball, on a dot. He's up there.
So now that Rodgers is on the Jets, this AFC East is loaded.
Loaded.
Bills, they're the Bills. We all know how they did last year. Unfortunately, they didn't go too well in the playoffs. Jets making moves in the offseason. Big moves.
Big moves.
The Dolphins, whether Tua can stay healthy or not, that will really determine, and what they do with quarterback really depends on Miami's success, I think.
Here's the thing.
But they did sign Ramsey, and they competed with the Bills with Skylar Thompson. So
if in the NFL nowadays, I feel like if quarterback is your biggest question, by and far away, it's your biggest question is quarterback play, you're in a pretty good spot. You know, I don't know. I understand that the quarterback position is the most important position, and I understand that the effect that a quarterback has on the game is unparalleled. But I think that
I know what you're saying.
Because they're loaded at wide receiver, their defense is stacked. They are literally just, if we're saying they're a healthy Tua away from really fighting for the AFC East crown, then I like the Dolphins' chances. I'm not saying that I picked them. We're probably going to get into this in a little bit. AFC East predictions, just super early, way too early ones. I think the Bills come out on top just because consistency, it does mean something, especially in the NFL. Just, building and building and building, especially if I heard Dalvin Cook might be available. I've heard that's a pretty
Cook, bro. Oh my
that's a pretty good name to exactly.
I honestly don't want Dalvin Cook though. He's good, but
injury prone a little bit. But his load would be much less in Buffalo. So maybe
probably
just because they're more pass heavy. Josh Allen runs a lot, and they're pretty pass heavy. I feel like in Minnesota there were times when it was literally all right, Dalvin, what can you give us this Sunday? Like, you're all we got. And so I think that'll also just help him out where he has the little bit of that pressure taken off of him. The expectations will be a little bit less from him personally. But
and, good news for the Bills that running backs are valued super low right now.
that is very true, man.
The fact that Derrick Henry is, talking about being traded is kind of crazy.
I mean,
Eckler now.
after that Jalen
not
Ramsey,
worth it.
if Jalen Ramsey is only worth a third and a tight end I've never heard of, potentially, does 2 firsts and, a swap for a second or a third get it done for, a Derrick Henry?
2 firsts? I would never give up a first-round pick for a running back.
What are they? They're asking for.
old.
They're asking for first though. They're asking for a first.
I would.
If you want Derrick Henry, you gotta move some first. But
at that expense, I don't want.
You don't want to sell your soul for a Derrick Henry
We
rental.
already sold our soul for Von Miller. He got hurt, so.
That is true, man. That was unfortunate, but yeah, AFC East is looking mighty tough. And the most fun thing is that all 3 teams have such distinct identities.
Yeah.
They all play the 3 front runners, I guess. And the crazy thing is that we're kind of looking at the Patriots like they're an afterthought, and they were, 500 team, above 500 team, so.
Yeah, they're gonna get their wins out of division for sure, and they're not even gonna be a bad team, but they could very well end up last in that division.
Yeah.
Some teams that there are a lot of teams that made some great moves, but me and Pal are gonna decide which team did the best job in free agency so far. So, yeah. Pal, what do you think?
I got the Jets, man. I'm gonna take the super easy answer. It doesn't even matter how it turns out. They could literally do exactly what the Broncos did. They could do that, and I would be completely fine with my answer right now because they had the best free agency. They got the hottest name on the market, Aaron Rodgers. They have the most hype built around them now, and this is for a Jets organization that has struggled to even. I mean, staying relevant is. You can stay relevant in bad ways and good ways. This is a Jets team that has been overlooked for a while. The last time the Jets were playing in November,
for half a year.
December football was whenever Mark Sanchez was their quarterback. Rex Ryan was the head coach. So, man, if you're a Jets fan, if you're a part of this Jets organization, this free agency has done is unparalleled to anything else that's happened before, definitely in this century. So I'll give it to the Jets.
Definitely a heartbreaker that they lost Braxton Berrios. But I'm going to go with the Bears here. They scalped the Panthers for DJ Moore and those picks, moved down in the draft. I think that was a great move by Ryan Poles.
I have an interesting stat, by the way, I just want to throw out.
Yeah.
DJ Moore right now has more career reception yards than any Bears wide receiver ever. So, hypothetically, if DJ Moore had the same career he's already had, but just did it in Chicago all these years, then he would be the Bears' #1 receiving yard.
What about Brandon Marshall?
Alshon Jeffrey, they're all up there. But literally, it would be DJ Moore.
Bro, do you know Brandon Marshall holds the record for most receptions in a game with 22?
Damn, 22. Who threw that to him, Jay? Is that Jay? Yeah, okay. I was about to say, is that Jay Cutler threw the ball to him 22 times in a game?
Bro, imagine. I want to see how many targets he had.
Dude. Yeah, and then also, how many pass attempts did he have total? How many was it 22 of his 24?
Derek Carr into that one guy, or...
Dude, also, by the way, honorable mention for me, the Giants. I think that Darren Waller move in and of itself does so much for him. They got Saquon back. They got Daniel Jones back, maybe for too much money, but who cares? That's their guy, Yeah. You meet a Giants fan, they swear by Daniel Jones. So
keeping your squad is important. I also forgot to mention the Bears signed Jermaine Edmonds.
Yeah.
Maybe I think there's a little bit of an overpay, but regardless.
They got another linebacker as well, TJ Edwards, the Eagles. He was a breakout star. We just couldn't pay him.
What's interesting? Wait, so how Edmonds and Roquan Smith? I'm pretty sure Roquan Smith may have been drafted in the same. When was Roquan Smith drafted? And what's Roquan
2018.
Smith's contract?
Roquan Smith was drafted in 2018 by the Bears, and his contract currently is a $100 million, $45 million fully guaranteed.
For how much? How many years?
5 years.
All right, so that's just a little more expensive than Edmonds' contract, who was drafted.
I think Roquan Smith is a better player.
That's why.
I think it's also about availability. They didn't have the money
2018.
then.
So these guys were drafted the same year. You let go of a household name. All right, so this is what I'm a little bit confused about the Bears. Good for signing a great player, but you let go of Roquan Smith and then sign Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah.
I don't know.
About the same age. They were drafted in the same class. That is an interesting point that you brought up. I didn't think about it that way.
That's something I literally just found out, or just came across and discovered.
Yeah. Well, Tremaine Edwards last year had, 66 solo tackles. He's not a bum by any right,
No.
but
As a Bills fan, I know he's capable of, but for a first round pick, he hasn't panned out to be a superstar. That will conclude today's episode. Catch us later on the next episode where we talk more about the NFL, and listen to our episode tomorrow featuring some NBA talk. This is the Breakdown Podcast presented by Flea Flicker Highlights. Peace out.